You are staring at a seized engine bolt, a rusted antique tool, and a $500 auto repair estimate sitting on your workbench. The mechanic handed you that invoice with a smirk. The sandblasting shop quoted you even more, and the shelf at the hardware store offers you a jug of acid, so toxic the label warns you not to breathe near it. This is where most people give up. This is where most people open their wallets and feed the machine. But you found this video, and that changes everything. I'm your host. Welcome to The Lost Blueprint. Today, I'm going to show you how a $4 bottle of molasses from your local grocery store can dissolve severe deep-set rust completely, chemically and selectively, leaving the healthy steel underneath untouched. Not scratched, not pitted, not dimensionally ruined, factory fresh. But stop right there. If you think you can just smear that thick, sticky syrup onto your rusted part and walk away, you will not remove a single flake of rust. You will attract an army of ants, grow a colony of mold, and wonder why this video lied to you. The method is specific. The ratio is exact. And the reason it works is a chapter of industrial physics that was quietly buried for nearly a century. We are going to dig it up together. Let's talk about what they sold you first. Sandblasting. It sounds industrial, powerful, satisfying. You watch the rust disappear in a cloud of abrasive particles, and it feels like progress. But here is what is actually happening. That pressurized grit is not choosing between rust and steel. It does not know the difference. It is hitting everything at 300 feet per second. Every pass removes a micron of healthy metal. On a vintage engine part, a carburetor body, a precision caliper, a machined bolt. Those microns are the difference between a part that fits and a part that wobbles. The sandblaster does not restore your component. It destroys it at a slower speed than the rust did. Then there is the acid solution. The orange jug with the skull. The liquid that fumes in an enclosed garage and burns your sinuses before you even open the cap. Phosphoric acid, muriatic acid, navel jelly. These compounds are not selective either. They attack iron oxide, yes. But they also attack the base metal underneath. Leave your part in for 30 seconds too long and you are etching into the steel itself. The surface turns black, brittle, contaminated. And then you are told to neutralize it, coat it, seal it, buy another product, buy another step. The process becomes a subscription. This is not accidental. This is architecture. The auto body industry and the chemical supply chain are built on a single premise. They need you to return. A sandblasting shop gets paid per session, not per restoration. A chemical company gets paid per jug, not per problem solved. The business model requires repeat customers. A method that works once, permanently, at a cost of $4, does not fit inside that business model. So it does not get advertised. It does not get taught in trade schools. It does not appear on the shelf next to the skull and crossbones jug. It gets filed away. And the people who knew it, they retired. They died. The knowledge drifted into obscurity while the industry kept selling you abrasion and acid and the feeling of progress that costs you everything. The knowledge I am describing was documented in industrial metallurgy literature in the 1930s. Factories processing large iron components needed a way to remove scale and rust from precision machinery without dimensional loss. They needed something that would distinguish between iron oxide and pure iron at the molecular level. They found it in organic chemistry. They called it chelation. Here's what chelation actually means. Rust is not just dirt sitting on top of steel. Rust is iron that has chemically bonded with oxygen. Iron oxide. It is iron that has changed its molecular identity. The challenge is not scrubbing it off. The challenge is breaking that chemical bond. A chelating agent is an organic molecule with a specific architecture. It reaches out with two or more binding sites simultaneously and locks onto a metal ion like a claw. In the case of iron oxide, the chelating compound grabs the iron ion and pulls it away from the oxygen bond. It extracts it, not through brute force, through selective molecular chemistry. The rust is dissolved from the inside out, ion by ion, while the surrounding healthy steel molecules, which are not oxidized, are not touched at all. The chelating agent does not care about pure iron. It is only attracted to the oxidized version. This is the specificity that no sandblaster and no acid bath can replicate. Now here's the part that the chemical industry does not want you to sit with for too long. Molasses, the dark, thick byproduct of sugar refining, is extraordinarily rich in these chelating organic acids. Acetic acid, citric acid, gluconic acid. These are not synthetic compounds manufactured in a lab. These are organic molecules that evolved over millions of years in plant chemistry, and they happen to be among the most effective natural chelating agents known to industrial metallurgy. The same property that makes molasses useful in soil science, where it frees up bound minerals in clay for plant roots to absorb, makes it a precision rust removal agent. You cannot patent it. You cannot trademark it. You cannot mark it up 4,000% and sell it at a hardware store. It is a food byproduct. It is abundant. It is cheap. and it works at a level of sophistication that your $30 acid jug cannot approach. So why did it disappear from common knowledge? Because the companies that profit from recurring chemical sales have no incentive to educate you. A well-informed customer who spends $4 once is a catastrophic business outcome for a company selling a 12-step rust removal system. The suppression is not a conspiracy meeting in a boardroom. It is simpler than that. It is the quiet, persistent prioritization of profitable solutions over effective ones. The literature exists. The chemistry is real and peer-reviewed. It was simply never amplified. Until now. Now I'm going to give you the exact protocol. This is the anaerobic chelation bath. Write it down. You need a plastic bucket. Never use a metal container. The chelating acids will begin working on any ferrous metal they contact, including the container itself, and you will contaminate your bath and lose your ratio. Mix 1 part unsulfured molasses to 9 parts water. The unsulfured designation matters. Sulfured molasses contains sulfur dioxide added as a preservative. That compound interferes with the chelation reaction. Read the label, buy the unsulfured variety. The 1:9 ratio is the working concentration. Too dilute, and the process takes months and delivers weak results. Too concentrated, and you're wasting material with no additional benefit. 1 part molasses, 9 parts water. Stir the mixture until fully dissolved. It will turn the color of dark tea. Submerge your rusted component completely. Every surface must be underwater. This is not optional. This is the mechanism. The bath must be anaerobic, meaning oxygen-free at the surface of the metal. Rust formation is an aerobic process. It requires oxygen. By creating an oxygen-free environment around the metal surface, you stop the rust cycle completely while the chelating acids begin their extraction work. Any surface exposed to air will not respond the same way. Complete submersion, no exceptions. Cover the bucket with a lid. A loose lid is fine. You are not building pressure. You are simply maintaining the low oxygen environment and preventing evaporation and debris contamination. Leave it, 1 week minimum. 2 weeks for heavy surface rust and thick scale. The bath will begin turning dark, then almost black, as iron ions are extracted from the rust and held in suspension in the solution. That blackening is your confirmation that the chemistry is working. The solution is filling up with the iron it is pulling out of your parts. When you remove the component after the full duration, you will see a dark, wet, clay-like coating on the surface. This is not damage. This is loose magnetite and chelated iron residue sitting on top of clean steel. Take a garden hose. Rinse the part with moderate pressure. Watch that entire coating wash away like wet mud in a rainstorm. Under it, you will find bare, matte, clean steel. No pitting from acid attack, no dimensional loss from abrasion. The part is the same size it was the day it was manufactured. Only the rust is gone. Treat the surface immediately after rinsing. Bare steel begins oxidizing again on contact with humid air within hours. A coat of oil, primer, or wax applied within the same session will hold the restoration indefinitely. Let me tell you what this moment means. The $500 machine shop estimate goes back in your pocket. The toxic acid jug stays on the shelf at the store where it belongs. The sandblaster does not touch your precision parts. And the knowledge that the chemical industry spent decades not teaching you is sitting in your bucket in a $4 solution. Working at a molecular level to restore something you were told was gone forever. This is not a shortcut. This is the correct method. The one that existed before the industry decided brute force and recurring sales were more profitable than education. The 1930s metallurgists who documented this process were not operating in ignorance. They were operating with a clarity that the modern chemical supply chain buried under marketing budgets and hardware store shelf space. You are reclaiming that clarity right now. Every rusted hinge, every seized bolt, every pitted antique tool in your shop that you thought was beyond saving has a second life sitting inside a plastic bucket of diluted molasses. The physics does not care how long the rust has been there. It does not care how thick the scale is. The chelation process is patient, systematic, and permanent. It will work on the first attempt the same way it worked in an industrial metallurgy lab 90 years ago. Take your time with the process, trust the chemistry, and stop paying for solutions designed to keep you dependent. I'm your host. This has been The Lost Blueprint. Stay independent.